Imagine checking into a hotel for a simple vacation. You're excited, you're safe, everything is normal, but just days later, you vanish. No goodbye, no phone call, no trace. The only clue investigators ever find is 57 seconds of elevator footage. And in that footage, you're pressing random buttons, hiding in corners, and reaching out towards something that no one else can see. This video would go on to be watched hundreds of millions of times around the world. It belongs to Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old student who walked into the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles in January 2013 and never walked out. This is her story. Elisa Lam was born in Hong Kong and raised in Vancouver, Canada, where she lived with her family. By 2013, she was 21 years old and enrolled at the University of British Columbia. To those who knew her, Elisa was curious, warm, and deeply thoughtful. She had a love for literature, travel, and honest self-expression. She kept a personal blog called Ether Fields, where she wrote openly about her life, the cities she dreamed of visiting, the books that moved her, and her personal battles with mental health. Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and documented her experience with it publicly and without shame. In January 2013, she set off on what she excitedly called her West Coast Tour, a solo trip down the coast of California. She visited San Diego first, then she made her way north to Los Angeles. She was posting updates online. She was calling her family. She was happy. But when she checked into her next hotel, everything changed. The Cecil Hotel opened in 1924 in the heart of downtown Los Angeles, specifically in the Skid Row neighborhood, one of the most impoverished and crime-ridden areas in the entire city. It was originally designed as an affordable, respectable hotel for business travelers, but over the following decades, it drifted far from that vision. The hotel became a magnet for tragedy, suicides, murders, violent crimes. The incidents stacked up year after year until the building earned a reputation so dark that locals started calling it Hotel Death. In the 1980s, serial killer Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, reportedly used the Cecil as his base while he terrorized Los Angeles. In the early 1990s, another convicted serial killer named Jack Unterweger allegedly stayed there while committing crimes. The building had absorbed decades of darkness. Elisa Lam checked in on January 26, 2013. She was initially placed in a shared dormitory room, but was soon moved to a private room after other guests reportedly complained about her unusual behavior. At the time, no one thought much of it. She was last seen alive on January 31st. When Elisa failed to contact her family, they immediately reported her missing. LAPD launched a search. Officers combed the hotel. They interviewed staff and guests. Then they pulled the security footage. And on February 14, 2013, they released one clip to the public, hoping someone could help explain what they were seeing. The clip is 57 seconds long. It begins simply enough. Elisa steps into the elevator on one of the hotel's upper floors. She presses several buttons at once, more than she would need to press for any single destination. The doors don't close. She steps into the hallway, looks left, looks right. Her body language is tense, almost as if she's checking whether someone is following her. She steps back into the elevator. Still, the doors don't close. Then something shifts. Her movements slow down. They become almost fluid, dreamlike. She raises her hands and begins moving her fingers in a slow, deliberate way that dozens of experts and millions of viewers have struggled to explain. Her mouth appears to move. She seems to be speaking, but there's no one else in the frame. She walks out of the elevator one final time and disappears down the hallway. The doors finally close. Elisa Lam is never captured on camera again. The video spread across the internet within hours. It was translated, analyzed, and debated in dozens of languages. Millions of people watched it on loop, trying to find answers in every frame, because what that video showed wasn't just strange, it was deeply, unsettlingly wrong. For 19 days after Elisa was last seen, there was nothing, no leads, no sightings, no answers. Then guests at the Cecil Hotel started noticing something off about the water. It looked dark. It tasted strange. Some described an unusual smell coming from the taps. Maintenance workers were sent to the roof to inspect the hotel's 4 large black water tanks, the cisterns that supplied water to the entire building. On February 19, 2013, a worker climbed up and opened one of the tanks. Inside was Elisa Lam. She had been submerged in approximately 1,000 gallons of water for nearly 3 weeks. The same water that had been flowing through the hotel's pipes. The same water guests had been drinking, showering in, and brushing their teeth with. The discovery sent shockwaves across the world, but the questions that followed were just as disturbing as the discovery itself. The rooftop was accessible only through a locked, alarmed door. The tank lids were heavy, not impossible to lift, but requiring significant effort. There were no signs of a struggle, no forced entry, no clear evidence of another person being involved. The Los Angeles County coroner conducted an autopsy, the official ruling, accidental drowning. Toxicology confirmed her bipolar medications were present in her system at normal therapeutic levels, not an overdose. No drugs or alcohol were found. For many people, that ruling was not enough. Theory 1, a severe mental health episode. Theory 2, foul play. Theory 3, the elevator was rigged or glitched. Theory 4, the supernatural. No theory has ever been proven. The case officially remains closed. Elisa Lam was not a headline. She was not a mystery to be solved on a forum. She was a 21-year-old woman who wrote beautifully about her life, who was brave enough to travel alone, who struggled with her mental health and talked about it honestly at a time when very few people did. She deserved to come home. The Cecil Hotel has since been renovated and rebranded. The building still stands on Main Street in Los Angeles, trying, as it always has, to escape its own history. But Elisa's case refuses to be buried. That 57-second elevator video is still being watched today by new viewers who stumble across it and can't look away, and by people who have seen it 100 times and still don't have an answer. Because somewhere in those final seconds of footage, there's a question no official report has ever truly answered. What did Elisa Lam see in that hallway? And whatever it was, it led her somewhere no one was ever meant to find her. If this case gave you chills, drop a comment below with your theory. And if you're new here, subscribe, because we're just getting started.